Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope everyone had a good weekend and enjoyed Full Gear. If you watched it, we'll get into that in a short while. But this is the Going Broadway podcast. It is Sunday evening. It is Alex and Cole as usual. Cole, what's happening?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. And we have a great show for you this evening. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. Plenty to talk about tonight. Alex, I think it's time. I need you to ring the bell.
We're just jumping right in, huh?
Let's jump right on in.
All right. So, is it gonna work? There it is. There's a delay on my end. I'm not sure what was going on. Before we jump in, just a blanket good evening to everyone that is watching. It looks like we got some people joining in on the chat. So thanks for tuning in, as Cole mentioned. Special shout out to this gentleman right here. I think we all know who this is.
MJF himself?
We're going to forever know Mr. Tilly as the frequently changing YouTube name, but it's always he never changes his little Cartoon Network championship belt picture.
It's like we always know it's him.
His calling card. So are you in a better mood today?
I am in a way better mood when the Cowboys win 40-3 against the 7-1, 8-1 team, whatever they were. So yes, I'm in a very great mood.
Who did they play? Was that the Eagles?
We played the Vikings today, and
Vikings. Okay.
We just now here's just a little side frustration though. In my area, on television, it was supposed to be Dallas Cowboys versus the Minnesota Vikings on CBS, and because the Bengals Steelers game was closer, they actually took the game off TV and put the Bengals Steelers game on. And I was like, us Cowboys fans want to watch this demolition. All right. Like we do not want to watch this other. So of course my wife got to watch her game, which was nice being a Bengals fan, and they got the win too. So that was good, but I was a little frustrated.
I'm not too, I don't know. I don't keep up with the NFL too much. I mean, if I had to say I'm a Bears fan, but just I'm more interested in, granted, I don't get to watch it that much, but I'd say I'm more interested in college football. I'm really interested in college basketball. Both Illinois teams are halfway decent, but Illinois lost yesterday in football, and they lost their basketball game today. So I was just kind of like, oh, whatever. It's early in the season though for college basketball. Once it gets to March Madness time, that's when I'm really invested. So
right.
Who else we got on the chat? Of course, we have Billy Ray Milburn. Good evening, as always. Brian Griffin, Thomas Russell. What's going on? You would think this comment came from Mr. Tilly, but that is not a typo. That is Mr. Russell himself. Let's see. Impact had a good show too. See, I need to follow up with Impact more. I mean, there's no reason I don't, other than just we've said it so much that there's so much content out there that's hard to keep up with everything.
Right.
Jeremy Stoneberger, good evening. Like, I'm the one having computer issues tonight. There it goes. Yeah, see, I mean, as far as the college football side, I mean, no matter who's playing, it's just my Saturdays are usually just too crazy to even try to sit down and watch a game for 10 minutes, much less an entire game.
Right.
But it's all good. Yeah, I hope so. I know that Virginia defense was pretty notorious. Not just today, but nonetheless. This is a wrestling podcast, though, so let's talk wrestling. I'll let you decide what you want to tackle first with off the top. I know I made some notes in just you and I's private chat as far as what to talk about. We'll probably save our Full Gear pre-recap that will lead into the actual recap, but yeah, I'll let you decide.
Well, actually, one of the things you put in there, let's address that, because I think a lot of us were under the impression he was hurt. So we find out this past Friday night, Kevin Owens is the 5th member of the War Games match for we'll call them just the Brawling Brutes. The Brutes seem to make the most sense of what they're going to call the whole team. So So we have Kevin Owens as the 5th member. Obviously, this is the play on Sami Zayn and all that stuff. But was it not announced that he was injured like maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? That and that the timeline here kind of seems like a stretch, maybe
Oh
for
yeah.
him to be what we would consider, I guess, 100%. Maybe he won't be, and maybe he won't have to necessarily carry the match either. And they want to keep the storyline going for whatever they had planned there. But your thoughts on the Kevin Owens situation here? Is he healthy? You know, how does this all play out?
I'm not confident he was ever injured, period. I think it could have just been a thing that was leaked to the dirt sheets that, he's got an injury that he's dealing with, that it was more of a longer term thing to keep him off TV on purpose, to play into the fact that, hey, play into the appearance that he's injured, and we might have got worked by the work, if that makes sense. Now I did think my thought initially went to what Chris says here, that it could have been just more of a strain, not necessarily a tear, nothing as serious. And that could have been it too. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's why we speculate, because it's just fun to do. But I don't know. Part of me wonders if, because it's Triple H in charge, the new regime kind of thing, and that this isn't necessarily something that under the McMahon regime that they would have done, in terms of leading on the fact that he could have been injured. But I could see, Triple H and those guys that are in charge, that, you know, whoever and however they did it, um, you know, maybe that wasn't it. You never know. But I don't know. I kind of have mixed thoughts, mixed feelings on it. If he was / is injured, props to him for um competing. Just the show goes on, so to speak. If this was always him pegged for this position and there was not a replacement, kudos to Kevin Owens for saying, "Hey, I'm doing this. Do not put anybody in my spot. I'm competing." Um, you know, Regardless of whatever injury he has, whether it's a strain, tear, whatever. But see, and this is what I was getting to. I would have leaned on the side of caution if he really is injured, because I would want to keep him healthy, or get him healthy for this, because eventually it's going to lead to a KO and Sammy face turn, competing against the Usos for the tag titles. I would be more invested in that long term, because that could be your WrestleMania match for the tag titles. If KO really is, if it's a more serious injury, I would lean on the side of caution. As much as he wants to be in a War Games match, as much as I would want to see him in a War Games match, that right there is your ticket. That tag match, that the build to that match, it's been a long build to this point already. And if Kevin Owens gets injured, sure, they could probably drag on the Sammy with, the bloodline storyline a little bit longer, but the timing of it sure seems like this is leading to a WrestleMania match.
For sure. So let me ask you this, because this is the thought that I had. Um, Thoughts on revealing KO as the 5th member now, instead of what I'm going to propose, and this was just the thoughts that came to my mind. If, let's say, Kevin Owens has an injury, depending on what that injury is and how deeply rooted it is, um, my thought was, why announce it on Friday Night SmackDown? I would have kept it open ended. I think I would have waited to actual Survivor Series, saying, kind of playing the storyline of, all these guys, all the Brawling Brutes, they've always been for themselves. They don't really have any friends in the locker room. They don't really have anybody that's for them. Even McIntyre and Sheamus can't stop fighting each other half the time. How are they supposed to find a fifth member and really playing that hard, kind of selling Sammy doing what he did Friday night, even more so. Like, you guys aren't going to find a fifth member, even if you do, it won't matter. And then at Survivor Series, the music hits and it's Kevin Owens. Or let's say he's not healthy in time, then you can replace that slot with whoever fits the bill, whoever makes the most sense that's not already on the card in that moment. Whether it's Matt Riddle because why not?
Why
Because you
not? Yeah.
can, or whoever it is that you need to grab to just be a good spot filler for the match if he's not good. But then if he is good, you get the pop at the Survivor Series. I would even have had Sammy kick off the match. He's getting all big for the bloodline. Like, guys, I'll kick it off. I got it. I'll be, I'll run it up for us to start the match. And then you have Kevin Owens come out to be the first one to fight him in the structure. So that's kind of the only thing for me, I think, is that the reveal and the selection seemed very predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And I like unpredictability. And Triple H has been pretty good about that. I feel like for the most part, since he's taken over, this felt very, very predictable compared to a lot of what he's done. So don't know how you feel about how he was revealed, because it just felt very same old in that regard.
No, I agree. I think what I would have done is, if you know ahead of time that, Kevin Owens is going to be in this spot on SmackDown, tease the fact that a fifth member has been selected. Again, insert whoever you want. Matt Riddle. I don't know whoever else that you'd want to throw into that spot. Matt Riddle is a good example, so we'll just go with that. But let's say that Riddle's pegged for that spot. They even announced it ahead of time on SmackDown. They even do the same angle as they did this past Friday, but have Riddle be the one to come out instead of Kevin Owens. Run with that, and then the night of the pay-per-view, let's say they run an angle to where they say everybody is revealed ahead of time as far as the order in which they're going to come out. So it's not a secret. It's, who's coming out first, who's starting the match, who's going to come in second, third, fourth down the line. Let's say Matt Riddle is slated to be the first guy out there. They run an angle during the pay-per-view that he gets attacked, beat down, whatever. And whether he's, whether the storyline is he's not medically cleared or he's at the hospital, whatever, then it's like whoever's starting the match, you could even have, you could have Roman start the match. You could have Sami Zayn start the match, however they want to do it. Well, probably not Sami Zayn, because I'm going to get to that in a second. Let's have either Roman or well, I guess you could do Roman. You could do either Jay or Jimmy, especially if if you're going to go the route of eventually doing the tag match.
Right.
So really, on the Bloodlines end, doesn't matter who starts out. But the mystery is who's going to come out for the Brutes team, so to speak, because Riddle's hurt. That's when KO's music hits, and you get an even bigger pop than what was on SmackDown this past Friday.
Right.
But what I think they should have saved was that stare down that they had with KO and Sammy on SmackDown. That shouldn't have even happened. They should have saved that for the War Games match itself.
For sure. And that's what I felt like was missing, is that, man, on SmackDown we got the moment that I felt like could have been bigger and felt bigger if it was built up. And I saw the comment here that they, this is supposedly what they might be doing for the women's. This is where I would say, okay, but you got to go with the story that it fits better. And I think it fits better for the men's one. The women's one right now, for me personally, feels like who cares? Because we've been seeing this feud go on so almost drug out so long because they don't really have anything else to do for them, that it's like, okay, I really don't care. It's going to be a good match, so I'm not really worried about it from that standpoint. But the storyline aspect of it doesn't really get me a rise of excitement to be like, oh, I can't. Who's gonna be their fifth member when it can only be like probably a list of like 5 people, like and that would probably be stretching it. Of exciting people for the women's match. For the men's match, obviously KO would have been an exciting pick even if we weren't announced ahead of time. But there's probably 10 people, 15 people you could name that they could insert into that spot, whether it's a returning name, an NXT call up, someone who's on the main roster that either isn't really a push right now or, is outside of a storyline, or is getting ready, needs to have a new storyline presented to them, whatever the case may be. That was kind of my thought there. So I just wanted to touch on that because I felt like the pop for the KO thing should have been saved for Survivor Series since the story that's being built in a sense.
No, I 100% agree. And by default, you would have also saved the KO Sammy stare down,
right?
Whatever. So, let's talk about potential WWE returns. So, it's been rumored that, and we might be jumping the gun a little bit, but if we do, we do. Chelsea Green might be returning to WWE. Do you think it's going to happen? Do you care? Do you think it's just rumors? Your thoughts?
So I think the rumors are true. As far as where she goes and what she does, that determines my excitement, because I really think she was actually one of the talents that they missed out on. I think they gave up. I would say her and Deonna Purrazzo, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they had diamonds in the rough that they weren't really willing to fine tune, if you will. More so, obviously, Deonna, because they didn't even let her really get a rise in NXT, let alone move up the ladder at all. But with Chelsea Green, she made the main roster. She breaks her wrist, I think it was, on the main roster, and then it was like, sorry, you missed your chance at that point. Like, they didn't really give her a time or a moment to shine. I do, Chris, you did nail something on the head here. I do think that history has proven that she's injury prone. The standpoint of she's also been injured out on the main scene, I think, more than one, or the indie scene more than once, as well. So that's a concern. But if you're going to wrestle any style, the safest to me is the WWE style compared to all the other things that are out there right now. So I would say that if they bring her in and they make her prominent, for instance, what I would have done with Emma would have been not calling her Emma. I would have brought her back as Tenelli Dashwood.
Agreed.
I would have made that a bigger feel. I wouldn't have had her lose her first match back, because on the indie scene, she's a big deal. Outside of WWE, she made a name for herself. She didn't really make a name for herself under the Emma moniker. And so that's why I'm like, okay, I bring you back as Tenelli Dashwood. All the indie craze people, all the people who stopped watching the product because they were bored with it or frustrated with whatever, they see something, oh, they're going to use her indie name, and oh, wow, she's not doing the stupid dance gimmick, and she's not this, that, and other. And so that's kind of what I need to see with Chelsea Green. I need to see them bring her back as if she's a big deal and give her the big deal treatment. Of it's not just a SmackDown where unannounced, she gets some one-off match with an okay name on the roster, but she's booked to lose. She needs to come in. She needs to get a solid storyline coming in. She needs to be able to win her first match, kind of get her feet under her. If Candice LeRae can get given her first W on Raw on her return, surely I think Chelsea Green deserves that as well. If it were me, though, if I knew that Deonna Purrazzo was on the table, and I think there's rumors there as well, that when her contract's up, that there's talks as well. Mm-hmm. If it were me, knowing I want to elevate and get my women's tag division in a better place, I would have waited and brought them in together. They already have a history. They already have a tag team. They already have chemistry. And so you bring them in as like they're heels because they naturally both play heels better. if they come in and they attack whoever the women's champions are at the time, probably needs to be a face team. But honestly, at this point, I don't really care. There's your big moment right there off the jump. You brought them in hot off the jump. And so as far as Chelsea Green goes, I would like for her to be there. I think there's something there, but it really depends on how you bring her in. Almost safer to bring her back to NXT and maybe let her be the one that beats Mandy Rose's, title reign, or, whatever the case may be. So, because you're going to need a name there as well to do that. So,
yeah, and I don't really. I granted, I'm not a NXT 2.5, if you want to call it that, at this point. I don't claim to watch it every week because I don't, but I think I know enough to know that they don't really have anybody that's, going to take that off of her anytime soon. She's held that belt for
over a year.
I mean, so
And my point there is that, do they have names in NXT that they'll build up and do it? Probably, but you've made Mandy Rose so dominant. That's good because she deserves that. And when you bring her back up to the main roster, it's going to be good for the main roster now.
yeah.
But who do you have that it feels like it makes sense if you're trying to do it sooner than later? And that was my point. So,
and you would have thought that this, Alba Fire / whatever her name was before that. I'm blanking on it already. Yeah. You would have thought that she would have been it, but she's lost to her twice now. So,
right.
No, I agree. I think that'd be a good transition or a good spot for her, unless they're bringing Deonna Purrazzo in, which I think she would be a good selection for that. But transitioning real quick, someone else has been teasing a return to WWE. Chelsea Green's significant other, Matt Cardona. Your thoughts on that? If he is, if he isn't, if he's just playing into the Chelsea rumors and that he's going to make the jump with her, so to speak.
So
how do you see this playing out?
The rumors obviously make sense because they're married, and WWE is pretty big on trying to help keep that together. But I'm just gonna, not in a rude or malicious way, but I don't think Candice LeRae has a job with WWE without Johnny Gargano. That's my personal opinion. I don't think she'd be on Raw right now if it weren't for Johnny Gargano. So I think that there's something to be said there. The more I think about it, the more I actually really like the idea of Matt Cardona on NXT.
Yep, same here. Same here.
And I'm almost kind of to the point now where, like, I think he's smart enough to know not to let them own his Matt Cardona name, that they'll make him come back as Zack Ryder. But I'm kind of to the point where I want to let go of these I'm going to call it the WWE Universe lines, of, well, when they were here last time, their name was Zack Ryder. And so when they come back, it has to be Zack Ryder, or her name was Emma, and it's got to be Emma when she comes back. He made his name as Matt Cardona now. So it's going to be really hard for me to bring him back in, tie him to the Zack Ryder name that really, outside of the internet craze that he did to blow up the IC wins, a tag team run here and there, it's less than him now. And the Matt Cardona name is the name that he really built and built his character and all that off of. So I would bring him into NXT. I would have him be, I'm really okay with him being the guy to beat Braun Breaker, whether it be clean or dirty. I really don't care, because if he can make NWA interesting, if he can make GCW interesting, if he can make Impact interesting, and it gets a buzz and a craze, what do you think he's going to do on NXT?
Oh yeah,
he's going to do the same thing. He's, like I said, he's entertaining. He's good on the mic. The matches are still going to be good. He's got a lot of veteran status. So not only is he holding the brand down, but he's teaching the young guys why he's there. If they bring Chelsea Green back and she goes NXT first, you guys are on the same page. I would say, hey, Matt Cardona, come to NXT, help us get this product back to what it used to be. You know, obviously you don't want to recreate it now that you've moved on from the original black and gold. You don't necessarily want to just go back and copy it because you've moved on and grown at this point.
Right.
But you want to get back to the fan base wants to watch this product.
Yeah,
And the
I
fan
agree.
base wants to be connected to this product. So, hey, Matt, come in, help us do that. And then once you've done that, we're going to move it to the roster and we're going to give you the run that you deserve. Now, I'm not saying that means he has to be world champion. I'm not saying that it does. I'm saying we're going to give you the opportunity to be the same Matt Cardona out on the indies here. And if the fans get it and it makes sense and the storylines adapt the way we need them to, you'll see yourself in a title picture or even in a title reign. If it doesn't, you're mid card. You're a great mid card guy. At worst, he's a Miz. He is a guy that can always be on TV, be a 7-8 time IC or United States champion, dabble around in the tag team area, and fight the celebrities and be the guy that helps get others over too. At worst, on
Yeah.
the main roster.
And I
So
think what would be great is if he came into NXT and he came in and those of you that are old school fans like me, if he came in and do the classic 90s shoot promo where it's like he's ripping the previous regime of his treatment of this Zack Ryder character, but Zack Ryder's dead, blah blah blah. He's Matt Cardona now. He's doing things, how he's done on the independent scene, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, and I think you're off to the races with that. Circling back to Chelsea Green real quick, I don't think she goes to NXT if she comes in alone. If it's just her, if Matt Cardona does not jump with her, I think Chelsea Green goes straight to Raw or SmackDown. Now, we'll go ahead and jump the gun a little bit. Do you think there's any scenario where she is the fifth member of the War Games team?
No, I think for both of them, I think if they make their returns, it's going to be Rumble.
Okay.
Honestly, let's be real, whether it's Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, whatever name you call him, if he's one of the mystery returns or even if it's a one-off, because sometimes they are, and that's okay. I think that's the bigger pop for him, and then like I said, if then they leak a deal, or sign a ink a deal, I should say, months later for him to be on NXT or whatever, cool. We kind of saw that being teased with Carlito, that one year. So there's that. With Chelsea Green, I think I agree with you that if Cardona is not on the tab, he's not on the slate to be signed as well, it makes more sense for her to go straight to the main roster. And again, she would be one of those kind of surprise entrances, which are hard to come by in the women's division, because you're basically already using majority of your women's division just to fill slots anyways. I mean, heck, we went to Royal Rumble last year, and I think we counted 10 or 15 of the 20 slots weren't even main roster women. They were legends returning. I mean, I'm trying to remember Michelle McCool, Lita.
Well, here, I'll just pull it up real quick. I mean,
I'm
that tells you how
Alicia
forgettable.
Fox, I think, was one of them.
Yeah, that tells you how forgettable that
Beth
event
Phoenix,
was.
I think, was one of them. I just remember us saying, "Wow, like you could have used so many more NXT names right now to carry this Rumble and made it way more of a believable and exciting match."
So let's
And
see.
again,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that falls under Vince McMahon, so we're talking a new slate here, but that's where I'm kind of like Chelsea Green fills a good slot for you for the Wimble, because you don't get a whole lot of those names often.
Right. So let's see. You had Melina, who was a second entrant. You had Kelly, fourth entrant. Michelle McCool,
3.
I guess Sonya Deville was technically a free agent at the time, but she's part. She's part of WWE.
Yeah.
So let's see. 1, 2, 3. You had Cameron.
Yep.
4.
That's 4.
Alicia Fox 5.
5.
You had Mickey James from Impact.
6.
Summer Rae.
7.
And
wasn't there a Bella?
hold on. Oh, I'm skipping over a lot of Hall of Famers. So you had Ivory,
Yep, 8.
Brie Bella,
Yep, 9. Molly Holly, I think, was 1.
Nikki Bella,
Yep, 10.
Sarah Logan was a free agent at the time.
We have to count her as a non-roster, so that's 11.
Lita,
12.
Mighty Molly.
13.
Yeah, almost half.
So really, I mean, I'm not going to count Sarah Logan as a legend, but 12 legends in the match, 13 that they're not normal competitors on your brand.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was a single NXT person in the match.
Nope. No NXT.
So in past years we've had that as well, and we didn't get any of that. So and then
For
I
what
guess
it's worth, we didn't have any NXT
for either one.
for either Rumble last year.
And then we also got to talk, I mean, Ronda Rousey too. She's not, I know she's on the roster, but she's so part-time that she's kind of another spot to them, kind of like, So yeah, I think that I don't think that she has any shot to answer your question. I don't think she has any shot at being the 5th member, because I honestly feel like that would be a letdown for the bill of that match. I think for a 5th member, that 5th member has to be.
Well, let's as I say, don't reveal it, but
I'm just saying it has to be a bigger name.
Yeah,
it has to be somebody that's going to make you go, oh wow. Even if it's not like super shocking, it doesn't, like, I don't hear Chelsea Green and think, oh wow, that's going to be like crazy good for War Games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, just based on where we're at with time, we're gonna go through some Full Gear pre-recap notes, news kind of thing, but we'll just kind of tackle that as we do the recap itself. Just a disclaimer, Cole and I did not even talk before we went live for very long. Cole, have you watched this? Did you watch the event?
So I skimmed. I can't say that I've watched every match to entirety, but I know enough to cover it.
Okay. I've not watched this at all. I mean, I've seen the results and everything, so I know what went down, how it went down, some of the highlights and such. But we'll just kind of tackle this, and then you can give it a grade if you actually saw the match. So we got three pre-show matches. We had Danhausen, Orange Cassidy, Trent, Chuck Taylor, and Rocky Romero defeating The Factory, QT, Aaron Solo, Lee Johnson, Nick Comoroto, and Cole Carter. About 12-minute match. Do we care? I don't.
One question. Wasn't Lee Moriarty in the firm?
Yeah.
Or
this is Lee Johnson.
Oh, sorry. I get them confused. So that confused me at the jump. The only question I have here is, what's with the Danhausen thing?
I don't know.
The more scarier, serious Danhausen. Y'all tell me in the chat, because I'm kind of like, one, if you do that, why would you do pre-show? You know what I mean? From the standpoint of you're introducing him in a new light, why would you do it on a part of a pay-per-view that isn't going to have that many eyes on it? You might as well have done it on a Rampage or a Dynamite at that point, because you might have got more attention on it than the pre-show of a 12-card pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like
13.
Yeah, whatever. However many
13 match card in which Tony Khan said, "Oh no, it'll end in a decent time. It's not going to run long." This went past 11:30 borderline Central Time. So
that was my only question about that match. I was like, what's with the Danhausen thing?
So this was the semifinals of the World Championship Eliminator Tournament. Ricky Starks defeating Brian Cage in 10 minutes. I like Ricky Starks, but AEW, what are you doing with Brian Cage? I mean, my goodness. I mean, the booking on this makes zero sense to me, because classic 101 booking, in my opinion, is Ricky Starks beat him the first time, so elevate Brian Cage. And I feel like that would make this Eliminator Tournament more intriguing. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not bitter about the fact that I got my prediction completely wrong, because I actually predicted Brian Cage and Bandito, which neither are happening. But I mean, literally, your finals is Ricky Starks and Ethan Page. And I like Ricky Starks. I like Ethan Page. I think they're both overdue for a world title shot. But I mean, your match is either going to be MJF against Ricky Starks or MJF against Ethan Page. My guess is it's going to be Ethan Page because they're going to play into the whole firm deal
stuff.
or whatever.
Right.
And I'm just kind of like, I
Now,
don't care to see it. Yes,
so
Thomas Russell, exactly.
I do have a problem with the cage thing because one, we've had I got to say this carefully. We've had the opportunity to talk to Brian Cage on and off the mic on more than one occasion. And
super cool to talk to, by the way. I mean, just
for sure. One of my favorite interviews, actually, just because of the realness and whatnot. But you can almost feel the frustration when you talk to him, because it's like, you know what you bring to the table and you know what you've done, and constantly you see it used so much to not get the payoff. And so here's the thing. You didn't use him right when you brought him into AEW. You hot-shotted him straight to the title to have him lose by throwing a white towel, and you didn't even have him, that alone bothered me. But then you stopped using him, basically. You put him in a pointless 6-month storyline with Sting and Darby Allin that equated to nothing.
well, hold on. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Then you have, the whole Team Taz stuff break up and all that stuff.
Even before that, you have him carry a fake championship.
Sure, yeah. I wasn't even going to address that. I wasn't going to give it airtime, but but then you don't use him at all. You take him off TV. You don't use him at all for, months. It had to been 6-8 months.
Yeah, sounds
at
about
least. Right. And then you sign, you buy ROH, and you have him debut on the ROH show, and you make it feel like you're going to use him again. At one of the times, he's, I can say this because he had said it on a show, that there were plans for him to return, and that he liked some of the ideas that were being tossed around. So I'm assuming that had to do with the ROH stuff and, kind of being integrated back in onto AEW TV. And then you have failed again to use him correctly. If anything, he should have been in the finals of this match. I don't care if it's however you needed to restructure the qualifier tournament to where he goes over. Have him fight Bandito. If Bandito wasn't going to make it, have him fight Bandito so he can be in the qualifier match against whoever it is you're going to have go fight Ethan Page first. Because if it or MJF, Ethan Page, cool, firm cheat, and have Brian Cage be protected at least. So when you have an ROH show and you have Brian Cage go after whoever he's going to go after, at least he's believable. It's such a sucky feeling, because I'm a Brian Cage fan, to feel like every time I watch a match of his, I have to think he's probably not going to win. And I chose Brian Cage to win this match too, because nothing against Ricky Starks, but I felt like Ricky Starks doesn't need this win at near as much as Brian Cage does. You got to protect him, and they didn't. As far as the results of the match, Starks versus Page to me seems, no disrespect to either guy, seems very disinteresting to me. I agree. Give a rat's crap about who wins that match. Number one, MJF's not losing his first title defense. So
he's not losing that title for a while.
Let's just be real for a second and realize that it does not matter who wins this tournament, because it's going to happen probably at Winter is Coming. I would assume, or one of the shows after Grand Slam or New Year's Smash or whatever, all these random episodes of Dynamite that they gave names to.
The Dynamite gimmick episodes.
It'll probably happen on one of those. But who cares? Because at the end of the day, if it's Starks, I feel like you're burying Starks, who's on the rise, who has a lot of potential. You're burying him when it's unnecessary. And I don't think Ethan Page, to me, you've never used him in the main event scene. in his own faction, to me, he is not the main event guy in the faction. Doesn't scream the main event guy, at least to me. And then you want me to believe that one of these guys is going to legitimately beat MJF on his first title defense, even if it is Page and he has the firm in his corner. I just, to me, that is disinteresting. It's not believable, and I think they missed the mark here.
Well, and it's confusing booking too if they have Page one, because you're going to have a heel versus what is now, with them teasing a maybe a face turn or a face run for MJF. He is now clearly a heel, but he still would get cheered in that match against Ethan Page. So it's like, are you just trying to purposely create this dynamic where you're letting the fans decide who is the face, who is the heel? And if that's what you're wanting to do, if you're AEW, if you're Tony Khan, then okay, whatever. I mean, I don't mind you letting the fans decide, but at the same time, you need to have, it needs to be established who's your good guy, who's your bad guy. If you want to have a cool bad guy that people cheer, kind of like Steve Austin was back in the day, and he, eventually became an actual face, then fine. I'm good with that. But that doesn't seem like that's what you're doing here.
I just want to this comment real quick, because here's my thing. If Cage wasn't going to win, don't book him in the tournament in the first place.
Exactly. Agreed.
I'm not for Starks losing. That's not my point. Is that if they wanted Starks to be in the finals of this match, great. No problem from me. I have a problem when you book people to lose that shouldn't be taking losses, especially when you've poorly booked them time and time again. It is tiresome to see. Again, I feel this way with so many people that they have paid buku's amount of money and raved about when they signed them and talked all this talk. And when I say they, I really mean TK.
Right.
All these different talents that they have brought in and that they have misused, and they have not created great storylines or great builds for them to be anything more than just a pop debuted.
Agreed. I mean, at this point, I'm just kind of like it's bad whenever you're taking someone like a talent like Brian Cage, and kind of like you said, depending on the match, like if it's a dark or elevation match, whatever, whoever he's going up against, okay, sure, he's going to win that match. But now I'm just kind of like, if you put him against, Jungle Boy, just to throw out a name, I'm just like, okay, well, Jungle Boy's going to get the win here just because you've booked Brian Cage so poorly at this point.
Right.
Moving along, Eddie Kingston defeats Akiyama in a 10.5-minute match.
You already know where I'm about to go.
Maybe we should just skip it.
I saw. Why are people raving about this match? Number one, I did watch. Like I said, I skimmed the pay-per-view. Basically what I did, I skimmed every match. I didn't watch them in, but I watched enough to kind of get the gist of everything. That's not normally like me. I just had a very busy weekend. But
another one of those, huh?
They raved about this match, more so about the emotion that Eddie Kingston showed about this match. But they raved about this match, and like every site that I saw, because I went and looked at grades for some of these matches, they gave this match like an A. And I'm like, this is probably one of the worst. I think Bleacher Report was the one that I remember giving this match an A.
Yeah, I'm done looking at Bleacher Report's grades. I mean, no disrespect to them, but I mean, it's like they're giving matches opposite grades that I would give it. I mean, I don't have an example, but they gave a match that I thought was like borderline 5 stars, and they gave it like a B-, like earlier this year. I don't even remember if it was AEW or WWE, but I'm just like, did you watch the same match? Like, is this a misprint? Like, anyway.
Well, and that's my point, is that you go look at the rest of their grades for the card. They don't have an A match on the card, but they gave an A to a pre-match show. And I was just, so again, who cares, is what I said when I saw this match. Number two, Eddie Kingston, it's not a diss. He just doesn't look good in the ring. this is where I would agree with like a Jim Cornette when I'm like, get this guy. I mean, he looks like a guy that I would see at a very, very, very brand new indie show, and it just looks green as all get out. Like I just don't see skill. I see sloppy. I see. I guess I'm trying not to be rude because it's not a malicious thing. It's just how I feel when I see him. But he looks like a washed up wrestler. He looks like a guy that should not be wrestling in a wrestling ring, and that's the issue I have. I guess is it's not entertaining. He honestly should become a manager. He's really great on the mic, and people like him on the mic. And I kind of liked the idea of kind of what he did back in what was it, Impact, when he was with Santana and Ortiz.
LAX. Yeah.
Be the mic guy. That's great, but stop wrestling. But
Yeah,
that's all
I mean,
say.
I'll just give you I'll tell you from a blunt standpoint what I think. He looks like someone you would see at a bar, the same bar, night after night after night after night after night after night.
Agreed.
Sorry if that's too harsh, too blunt. I mean, I'm just calling it like I see it. And for what it's worth, like I'm not worried about what I say about anyone from AEW because I highly doubt we'll have any AEW guests on anymore moving forward. Just, I mean, not to get off on a tangent, but they're unresponsive at this point. Anytime I try to reach out to their media people, and I reach out probably once or twice a week, and they're just kind of like,
they've been frustrating from the jump. So it's just
it goes back to the whole Athena situation, which if you've been watching us for any amount of time, you know what's going on with that. So opening match for the main card, Jack Perry gets the win over Luchasaurus. Steel cage match, a little under 19 minutes. Again, I've not watched this event, but I heard this was a really good match.
probably in my top 3 for the night that I personally enjoyed. It is one of the very few that I actually did watch to completion. I will say this: I hope the feud's over.
Oh yeah,
I know that, build and all this stuff, and obviously, I think they'll revisit it when Christian's like healed up and is able to wrestle again, because they'll want to do it. But Jack Perry proved last night, or not last night, but a couple nights. I guess it was last night. I keep
it
forgetting
was
it's
last night.
Sunday.
Yeah,
He proved last night, hey, I'm capable of being just as good as all these other guys that they're using. And it's time to put some respect on his name. So I'd like to see them move him out of this what feels like a pointless storyline and into something for the TNT title, for the All Atlantic, something solo, something singles, and actually
yeah.
have him get on that run. Very similar to what NXT's done with Wesley. I'd like to see them progress him into a believable singles star. So
Yeah. The next match, Death Triangle, shockingly gets the win over the Elite. This match went about the same amount of time, a little under 19 minutes. Now, couple of news and notes to tackle before we talk about the match itself. I dug their entrance. I thought it was super cool, super well done. I'm a classic rock fan, so the song choice I loved. And just the production of it, I thought was perfect. Perfect. No pun intended. I actually just that was not intended at all. But because I mean, I watched like the 4-minute clip or whatever it was on social media, and it was again very well done. As far as the match itself, at least the booking of it, I'm actually okay with it. And I would have been okay with it even if they didn't decide to do this best of 7 series. Because if it were me, I would have just said, this is the way to get Kenny and the Bucks out of this trios title picture and onto
other things
they could be doing. Whether that's, I mean, I know it was announced today that Kenny is headed back to New Japan. I don't know if you saw this, but he's headed to New Japan to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom, one-on-one match with Will Ospreay. I don't know. I don't know if it's for the IWGP US title or not. I mean, if it is, great. If it's not, whatever. It's kind of irrelevant. But um, regardless of, again, because they announced that this was match one of the best of 7 series, but they did it retroactively, so to speak. I predicted that the Elite would win, but I actually like the booking on it, the booking decision of having Death Triangle go over. I would have actually rather them do it how they did it with, the dirty finish or whatever, and that just would have been the end of it. So, I mean, as far as the best of 7 series, do I want to see it 6 more times? No. I mean, because in a 6-man tag match, and all of them are going to be on TV or a pay-per-view. I think it's what I think that's how they advertise it, was it not? Like it was going to be on all of them are going to be televised, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Whenever you had like best of 7 series matches back in the day, not all of them were televised. Like, for example, you had the best of 7 with Booker T and Benoit. I don't think all of those were televised. I think you had some of them at house shows. Whenever you had that Nikita Koloff and Magnum TA, brain lapse. Whenever they did their best of 7 series, I think they may have had like 2 or 3 of them on TV. And if you guys remember, you can correct me if I'm wrong, of course. But the problem with this is you're going to have the same match 7 times. Because let's face it, guys, this is going to go 7 matches. We're going to see this match 7 times, and really, how are they going to be innovative enough to where you're not bored after the 3rd match? So, anyway, I've said enough about the match and the setting the stage, so to speak. So, your thoughts?
Ditto. No. So
Yes, you're good. Moving along.
but very same sentiments. I think I was shocked when I saw the pay-per-view because I thought, oh, they're gonna put it back on the guys, obviously.
Yeah.
But then when they announced that they were doing it, I was like, okay, the booking makes sense. But I am in, maybe I don't, based on what I'm seeing online, maybe I'm in the minority when I say I do not want to see a best of 7 series. To be real with you, I don't want to see that. And really, there probably 9 out of 10 times in a feud, I wouldn't want to see a best of 7 series. I think that those are kind of outdated, maybe is the word. I feel like the average wrestling fan now doesn't want to see that anymore. I think that's why they kind of save that mentality for the house show, for like your big companies, your WWEs, your AEWs. Because I mean, how many times have Roman Reigns and AJ Styles here recently done dark matches on WWE live tours?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's like the feeling for me is televised. So, and I looked at the schedule. I'm pretty sure it's like every week, like 7 weeks in a row. I can turn my TV off because it's probably going to be in the main event or close to. I can just go ahead and just turn my TV off because I know it's going to go to the 7th match. Which the problem I have with it as well, the 7th match happens on a regular Dynamite.
Well, I think it's because it's in California, or it's in SoCal, so that's the Young Bucks' backyard.
I
I agree. I don't
really
care
give it
either.
a name then. You already got 4 of them that have random names for no reason. Go ahead and give it a name, even if it's the Young Bucks reunion show. I don't care. They're back in SoCal. Well, you gave it. Chris Jericho is really good at coming up with bad names, so you might as well just go ahead and hit him up and ask him to give it some stupid name and at least make it feel kind of special. Yeah, I'm just the mentality of, I guess my mindset is that I think they're gonna put it back on the Bucks and Kenny at 7,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
otherwise,
Yeah.
why do this? Otherwise, why have them do 7 matches for them to still lose? You had a clean break right there. They got stripped of the titles. Death Triangle won them, and then they came back. They lost their return match, and you could have just been done with it. So I think it's clear they're going to go to 7. They're going to have the Young Bucks and Kenny win it. Probably give them the run that they were going for all the junk that happened. But I'm just, yeah, I'm I'm over it already, and it hasn't even started.
Yeah. So match 2 is this Wednesday. Match 3 is the following week. The November 30th Dynamite. You've got the 4th match 2 weeks from then at Winter is Coming. You've got match 5, if necessary, the week after that. So these are all on Dynamite. You've got match 5, Holiday Bash, December 21st. Match 6, New Year's Smash, the week after that. And then match 7, if necessary, 2 weeks after that. Yeah, that's right. 2 weeks after that in LA at the Kia Forum.
If they were smart, they would end it at 4. If they were smart.
You're going for a sweep, huh?
I'm saying if they were smart, they would end it at 4. They would literally end it. I mean, time and time again, have them lose for whatever reason and split up whoever it is that's going to lose. Do that. If there's a death triangle turn coming and it's going to be at Phoenix's cost, whatever you got to do. I don't really care. I would swerve everybody. I'd be better than what you're doing. I would be unpredictable. Because what would happen is, just like any time they do these storylines, someone's going to go on like a 3-0 start, and it's going to be the comeback. You know, you got to have back. And then they're going to come back. They're going to win 3 in a row, and then it's the tiebreaker. You know how that goes. So I would swerve everybody. Have them go on a 3-0 run, whoever it is that's going to win the tournament, and then think, oh, the 4th one, surely they're going to go to 7. It is what it is, and then have them win again. But that's probably not going to happen. So,
yeah. Let's see. Back to my original screen here. Next match, and again, I'll say this: I never would have thought that the statement, "If Jade Cargill loses this match, I'm done watching AEW," would ever come out of my mouth. But that's how this scenario rolled out. Jade does get the win over Nyla Rose in 8 minutes. I mean, do we care? Like, the more interesting conversation would be at this point, who is going to take the TBS championship off Jade? And I know some of you guys were talking about it in our chat groups. But at this point, it's like, is it going to be Statlander? Is it going to be somebody that's not even with AEW at this point?
Oh, it couldn't be that, because they mess that up every time.
Could it be Mercedes Martinez? I don't know. But at this point, I'm just kind of like, you know what? Whatever. So
I don't care for the match. I didn't care. You know, the whole thing was pointless to me. I almost felt it was disrespectful to have them come out in a low rider and do all that. I still don't understand the pairing of Marina Shafir with Vicky and Nyla Rose. I just don't. None of that makes sense to me. Obviously, jumping the gun a smidge, I would almost venture to say that Britt Baker would be a good name to have beat Jade Cargill, because at least she loses to the biggest name that you have signed to your, I'd say biggest name that you've had signed to your company. And, you know, maybe Britt can make a TBS title feel special since it originated.
Yeah.
So, but I don't really have anything to say about the match. I honestly, I skipped to the end to see who won.
Next match, Jericho retains the Ring of Honor Championship, defeating Bryan Danielson, Claudio, and Sammy. I'm shocked at the amount of time they gave this match. This went 21 and a half minutes. So your thought, again, just to reiterate, I've not seen any of this pay-per-view. I've seen the results. I saw that Sammy and Jericho actually fought during the match. It wasn't just, which was expected. I mean, anytime you've got a match set up to where, you'll have alliances. Alliances are always going to be broken. But again, I've not watched this pay-per-view in any way, shape, or form in its entirety. I've only just seen clips here and there. So your thoughts on it?
Missed the mark, especially for 21 minutes. missed the
Yeah.
mark for me.
I meant to say I saw a clip where Jericho did this, and I guess this was the end of the match. Actually, he did this flying, leaping Judas effect or whatever it actually missed, and Claudio no sold it, which was I think a good call, but just the commentators made it sound like it was the most destructive move ever, and I'm just like he actually had made more contact with Sammy Guevara. But then, thought better of it. I guess they communicated it on the fly, and Jericho did another Judas effect to actually end the
right.
match, I guess. But
I just one, I don't care for the booking, and it's again, I never want to seem like I'm being malicious, but I just don't like Jericho as the ROH champion. I get the booking of it, especially if there's a TV deal coming and all this stuff,
I would
but
have
if
thought we would have seen it by now.
it feels so identical to his AEW title run, change the faction and the name, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what it feels like. And it's like I thought AEW was about not copying and being original and all this stuff. And that's what the problem I'm having with the title run. And it feels so copied. It feels
Yeah.
like copy and paste. And I get the whole if it don't work, or if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of
Yep.
mentality. But here I would have made the call to put it on Daniel or on Brian Danielson, just as big of a name as far as interest level. If there was a TV deal, people are gonna tune in to watch Brian Danielson. I don't care what anybody else says.
Mm-hmm.
They will. It kind of feels like to me the Blackpool Combat Club's breaking up.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll get to more of that as we go on, but you've already had the Wheeler Yuta, Brian Danielson, Keith. Claudio was kind of on the same side of Wheeler Yuta in that. So I would have Danielson one, and then the match that actually intrigues me the most out of any of this would be Danielson versus Claudio. I think that they could put on a good feud for a good while. That would be interesting to watch, especially if ROH gets a TV program and on the horizons. And I saw you share Tilly's post, but
Yeah.
I would have put Sammy in this match. Again, this is where bad booking comes into play. You can't keep putting your younger guys in matches, especially title matches, main event matches, pay-per-view matches, have them lose time and time again and expect people to be like, "Oh yeah, when it's time for Sammy to actually win the one, I'm supposed to believe it. I'm supposed to get behind that. I'm supposed to get behind the names that you keep having lose time and time again." I mean, I even said it about the world the title elimination or eliminator tournament. Most of the
Uh-huh.
guys in the thing hadn't even been on TV in months. Why do I care about these guys? So
Yeah. And I didn't know this if this is true. One thing I do know though about the Final Battle pay-per-view later this month, I think it is on the 10th, if I remember correctly. So two things. So it's on a Saturday. I think I'm 99% sure it's on a Saturday because they're running this pay-per-view in the afternoon. They're running this at like 4 o'clock Central Time. So I get, it'd be 5, or maybe it's 4 o'clock Eastern. So it'd be 3 o'clock our time. I don't know, but they're running it late afternoon, early evening. And they're making the excuse that it's because of college football, blah, blah, blah. No, it's because that's the NXT pay-per-view is the same. It's the same night.
right.
Um, I'm pulling it up just to make sure that I'm not mistaken on that.
The 10th is a Saturday for sure. I don't know the start times of anything, but
I'm double checking real quick that I'm not speaking out of line here. Yeah, deadline December 10th. So they're running head to head with NXT deadline, and they're doing it in the afternoon. So just so they don't have to compete with it.
right.
Secondly, I've got the event pulled up now, like the event page or whatever. There have not been any matches announced for this yet, and we're 3 weeks out from it.
Obviously, they've done a lot of storytelling, more so through Rampage. Decides to just every time we're on a show, and never does this any other time. It's really frustrating. Um,
You're good.
but um, yeah, I obviously they've been doing storytelling, but by now you would think, especially AEW, of all people, you think we would have at least maybe the big four announced by now. The two pay-per-view or the two main event matches, maybe. I don't know.
Or a
Would
match. Just
it
a
it
match 3 weeks out.
the title match. I mean, I know that they just had Jericho defend it on Full Gear, but I'm kind of like, okay, but you've announced other title matches while there's a title match going on. Why can't it be ROH champion versus here's the number one contender that we've already picked? Again, if you want to book Brian Cage correctly, don't put him in the AEW World Title, Eliminator tournament. Make him the number one contender for the ROH title, regardless of who wins at Full Gear.
Or even the Ring of Honor Television Championship. I mean, at this
Right.
point, we'll talk about this shortly, but I think you got to get that Ring of Honor Television Championship off Samoa Joe at this point. Unless he's just a transitional champion, which we'll get to that shortly. Next match, Sarai defeated Britt Baker, 12.5 minutes. I don't know. People online said that this was actually a really good match. I'm skeptical. So if you watched it, you tell me.
Britt Baker's the wrong person to put her up against for her first match. This is another instance where I feel like they backed themselves.
We lost you.
Into one star in your women's division. I mean, number one. There's no debating that. There might be more talented people in the ring. You might like someone more than her, but she is their number one female star. And you had a woman who hasn't wrestled in 6 years. What has it been? 6 years, 7
It's been
years?
years. I don't know how many exactly, but yeah,
On her
it's been a
on
minute.
her re-debut match with all the ring rust and all that stuff, you have her come back and beat your top star. And how long was the match?
12.5 minutes.
I just Britt Baker can do a lights out match with Thunder Rosa and some of these other names, but can't beat a woman who's been broken and bruised for 6 years. I mean, it's just not a believable storyline. You know what like
Yeah.
this is where I go back to me as the fan. I got to be able to believe that this can happen. And you've just sold for years. Paige has been sold to us as broken, fragile. Even before this match, there were, I think, her clearances, and again, I skimmed this match. I really didn't care about it, so I'm just being completely upfront. I only know more of the results, and I'm not okay with it. The problem I have with this is that I'm pretty sure, someone correct me if I'm wrong, her clearance is that she can wrestle as long as nothing happens to her from behind.
Well, according to Chris, I don't know. I mean, she knows the move is coming.
I'm
But
sure it wasn't from behind though. I'm sure she saw
yeah, that's what
and
I'm saying. She had a
knew
heads up
how to
on it.
take
It
it.
wasn't just
Right.
a blindside move. But
So
no, but I
I mean,
agree. Like if she cannot take a blindside shot from any angle, behind, from the side, from a peripheral, whatever, yeah, I agree. You're not cleared, because you're not going to. If you are a football player and they say you're cleared as long as X, Y, and Z doesn't happen, or just if take Y and Z out of it, you're cleared as long as this doesn't happen. Like, then you're not cleared.
that
Like,
feels like
because accidents happen.
it feels like a Hulk Hogan or a Ric Flair cleared in WWE. Like, yeah, we'll let you be in the ring
Yeah.
for a moment, and you can take a microphone hit to the head or something. You know what I mean? Like, you can, what, when that stuff was going on with Randy Orton, and he was kind of running through the ledges and stuff, like some of that
Yeah.
stuff. But this doesn't feel good. And like I said, you just destroyed the Britt Baker character to me, by putting Soraya, which sounds like a disease, over in a 12-minute match that had no weapons. It had no nothing extremely major happened. She just lost. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she needs to be invincible or undefeated, but like I said, my goodness, she had a lights out match with Thunder Rosa where she went through hell and back, bleeded all over the place. She's had way crazier and more extreme matches where she's kicked out, kicked out, kicked out. And I'm supposed to believe that old frail, Soraya comes back and can beat her in 12 minutes. This is why people got mad that Goldberg came back and beat Bray Wyatt in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This is the kind of booking that's just not good. If they want to win over somebody, do it to somebody like I don't know. I have a hard time even giving it. Do it to Nyla Rose. Do it to you've already messed up Ruby Soho. Do it to Ruby Soho or somebody else on the roster that can still put on a good program, but it doesn't. Marina Shafir, sheesh. Somebody that isn't going to damage all the work you've put in to make that person great.
Yeah.
So that's just me.
Yeah. And real quick, guys, I'm just looking at the time. We're probably going to skip our what if segment. We'll save that for next week. We'll just kind of push stuff out a little bit because I really want to get to our Survivor Series predictions. But I also want to give enough time for our what if segment as well. So we'll hold off on that until next week. So we alluded to this already. Samoa Joe defeated Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs. This match went a little under 10 minutes. Samoa Joe is your new TNT champion. Just some brief thoughts I have on this. If you're gonna take the TNT championship off Wardlow, I actually think this was the best way to do it because the TNT championship run for Wardlow has just seemed very underwhelming. And that's putting it nicely. I don't think you ever needed to really put that TNT championship on him. And if anybody's going to, take it off, it'd be Samoa Joe. But didn't Samoa Joe get the win by submitting Hobbs?
I'm trying to remember.
And you guys in the chat can clarify. Again, I've not watched this.
I think so.
So Wardlow wasn't, if that's the case, Wardlow wasn't factored into the decision, which is, how I would have booked it. So from a booking standpoint, while Samoa Joe becoming TNT champion on paper is just kind of like, huh? Like a moment like that. To me, when I think about it and look at the totality of the situation, I'm actually okay with them doing this. But at this point, I think Samoa Joe needs to either be a transitional TNT champion or he needs to drop the Ring of Honor Television Championship at Final Battle. So, okay. Gotcha. Your thoughts?
I might be in the minority here. I don't like this at all. One, I feel like Joe has lost his
momentum,
that it factor kind of feel to him since he's been in. He had it and obviously had it in Impact, where
I'll clarify I think I know where you're going with this. Solo Sikoa feels more like Samoa Joe does at this point than Samoa Joe does.
Very, very. Solo Sikoa has a big feel to him, at least.
Yeah,
because of how they booked him, and also realizing, hey, he's not very good on the mic. Let's not let this man talk. All right, Joe's good on the mic. Yeah, we hardly ever hear him cut a promo in AEW. In WWE, that's what they let him do. They say, hand this man a mic and let him go do his thing. Let him go and talk his talk. I feel like there's not been anything really special with Joe other than the pop when he signed, came out and did his thing. There's not been anything.
You're freezing up again.
Default. I don't like that it was Joe. And now I feel like I'm bored with the TNT title picture, which is not a good thing. Your mid-card title should not board me. It should. We've always talked about this. It should be your workhorse title. It should be defended on a weekly. I don't even know if Joe's body can handle that kind of setup right now.
I'll take it a step further real quick. I'm bored with every single AEW championship title picture, maybe except for the world title picture at this point. You name any championship, in AEW, and I'm just like, cool. I don't care. Whatever.
There obviously the world title picture changes the game with MJF, because had he lost, you and I probably would have even included the world title in that picture. Obviously we haven't gotten there yet. I'm a little intrigued with the women's title picture now, but not as crazy as the other. But just because that's where I'm going to give them props here in a moment. But
Chris, I see what you did there.
But again, the ROH title, who cares? They've done absolutely nothing with him with the ROH title, and are probably going to continue to do so. It felt pointless. It feels pointless to take it off Wardlow. I do agree with you. The Wardlow title reign has felt lackluster and probably didn't need to happen in the first place, but better at booking him, taking the belt off. I would challenge you to book him better and give him actual opponents that aren't one-offs, and having him do the same storyline that you've done with him since he's signed. I just, none of it made sense to me. Someone, I think Tilly just mentioned, I actually like the deal of, you could have let Wardlow carry it longer, knowing that you're getting Jungle Boy ready. Have them do a feud where it just seems like Jungle Boy has no shot at beating Wardlow. He's too dominant. He's too tough, whatever. And then at a pay-per-view, Jungle Boy gets the big win. He's the TNT champion. That's how you build stars, and so this, I guess my point is, this does nothing for nobody. This win, this doesn't elevate Joe. This doesn't make Joe a better champion. Doesn't give him a better spotlight. Doesn't do anything for Samoa Joe. It literally does nothing for Wardlow. Absolutely nothing for Wardlow. And how does it help Hobbs? You had Hobbs get this dominant win over Starks at the last pay-per-view. You have him attack. You make it seem like you want to push this man. Then you have him take the pinfall in a triple threat match or submission. Sense.
Yeah.
The whole thing, I might be in the minority because I do like Samoa Joe. I'm not an anti-Wardlow fan, but he's kind of boring to me long term in settings. But for the most part, the problem I have with this match is it doesn't benefit anybody. It is a pointless title change.
So I will stand by what I said, but I actually agree with you as well, because I feel like if you're going to take the belt off Wardlow and at least not make him look worse, that this was the best way to do it.
Agreed.
But it makes Hobbs look bad. I don't really feel like it does anything for Samoa Joe, even though on paper Joe's just his name, his reputation, et cetera, it doesn't diminish the TNT championship, I guess. Again, I'm prefacing by saying I guess, but at the same time, it's like, okay, cool. You put another belt on Samoa Joe, but it doesn't feel like it elevates him in any way. I feel like putting the Ring of Honor Television Championship on him did nothing for him. So just Joe's run in AEW / Ring of Honor has felt underwhelming at best.
Yeah.
During the entirety. So
for sure,
maybe making him a heel will fix that, but we'll see. The next match, Sting and Darby defeated Double J, Jeff Jarrett, and Jay Lethal. 11-minute match. No DQ.
This match should not have happened. I mean this with all due respect to Jeff Jarrett, to Sting, to Darby Allin, and to Jay Lethal. This match should not have happened. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be the one to say it. Sting, stop fighting.
Yeah. No, I agree. Sting needs to just be done. I've never been on board on Darby Allin. I probably never will. I'm not of the belief that all wrestlers have to be, you know, muscular and jacked up and roided and whatever. But Darby Allin's what, a buck 50? Maybe
I mean,
buck 40. I mean, at least Adam Cole is close to that 200-pound mark, but dude,
but
like,
you can't even compare the two, even if they were the same weight. Adam Cole, the charisma, the look,
yeah, 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 yeah.
there's so that's not even close. And again, it's no disrespect to any of them, but Sting, Jeff Jarrett, they should not be wrestling. They shouldn't be wrestling. You've done your time. You proved yourself. You've had your moments, and you're legends. You're legends. People adore you. Like you've done what you needed to do for the business, and we appreciate you. But go sit down. Do your part behind the scenes. Do your part to elevate other talent. Again, what is this? How does this match do anything for Jay Lethal or Darby Allin? It doesn't. Nothing about this match elevates anybody. I'm not excited to watch 70-year-old men fight. I'm sorry, they're probably in their 60s. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but my
Probably
point is,
fit.
I don't
Well,
have a desire. I think Sting is 63 or 64. I think.
yeah, he's 63. Jarrett's
Jarrett
got to be in his 50s.
probably late 50s.
55. Yeah.
Okay, so mid 50. So Jeff Jarrett maybe at the tail end, but you've already kind of hung up the boots. Like keep them hung up. There's nothing in this for you. There's nothing in this for Sting. There's really nothing in it for the two guys that you brought in on it. I just don't care for this storyline, and I'm so over the Sting, Darby Allin stuff. I'm not for Jarrett being in the ring at all. Like it just N not even if the match was bad.
Yeah,
I
because
just don't care.
I was about ready to say some of the highlights I saw. Now it could have just been piecing it together, for lack of a better way to word it. And you guys that watched it can correct me. Jarrett didn't look bad from what I saw.
It's not that it was bad.
No, no,
It's
no, no. I
just
know. I agree. I'm just saying
it's
that.
just who cares? You know, like for instance, I've said this to you before. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, they don't look bad in the ring either. But who
Yeah,
cares? Who really gives, other than nostalgia purposes? We are not watching that match thinking we're about to see some banger 5-star, 6-star match and it's going to change the course of wrestling and any of that stuff. This match had very little storytelling, it had very little storyline. Again benefits nobody, and that's what I'm going to go back to on AEW time and time again is it benefits. Stop doing matches that don't benefit a thing. You know, if it's building a storyline or building up someone, cool. But if it doesn't build anybody up, and here's the problem I have with this pay-per-view card. We had 13 matches on the pay-per-view card. We put this on this. If you're gonna do this match, do this on one of your dynamite your like let it be a winner is coming main event or whatever,
yeah,
because I'm okay with that. But people paid $50 to get a pay-per-view
yep.
these days, $50 to watch old men fight for no reason. I'm sorry, y'all. If you liked it, it's not a disrespectful thing. I'm a huge Sting fan. I love Jeff Jarrett. I'll tell you this, Jeff Jarrett's the reason why I started watching Impact when I did way back when they were doing King of the Mountains and he was the champion. It's not I love Jay Lethal. I'm on Darby Allin. It's not the people in the match. It's just it doesn't do anything for. It's one of those matches. It doesn't do anything for anyone, and we put it at what 9 on the card.
10.
10.
Well, if you count the pre-show, 10th match.
That's a bad call.
Yeah. Next match for the prestigious interim AEW Women's World Championship. Jamie Hayter defeats Toni Storm, wins the championship. Again, to reiterate, I've not watched any of this, but I heard that this was a really good match.
I like the call too. This is where I'm gonna give
Agreed.
AEW props. Jamie Hayter being champion is the right call. One,
I agree.
fans are behind it. Fans are behind it. That's smart. Two, you got it. You finally put it on someone who's not an ex WWE person or Britt Baker.
Yep.
It's like outside of like Riho and Nyla Rose at the very beginning, like all they've done is put it on Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, you know, Tony Storm now, and it's just like, okay, Jamie is she's young, she has a good look, she's good in the ring, people are behind her. You got this dynamic with Britt Baker still, and there's all these good things. And who cared about Tony Storm being champion? I've not seen the problem with your women's division is if no one's talking about it, there's a problem. Whether it's good or bad. I've seen all the people that are like, I'm kind of tired of Bianca Belair. They're still talking about her. So at least she's doing something enough for you to either say I'm tired of it or I'm not tired of it. You won't ever see me get in our Discord chat and be like, I'm so tired of Tony Storm. I just don't care enough to even mention her name. I don't care enough to be intrigued by that storyline. Jamie Hayter does that. Jamie Hayter makes me think, oh, you know what? I wonder who her next competitor is, and I wonder how they're going to book this, and I wonder, what they're going to do here because this is fresh, this is new. This was a swerve. No one saw Jamie Hayter being Tony Storm. Obviously, everyone's mindset was Tony's going to hold the belt until Thunder Rosa is ready to, step up and fight her for rights to the main title or to say that they're actual women's champion. But this is such a great call, and it's
I agree.
one of the highlights of the night. Good match. I'm happy with this one.
And for what it's worth, this was kind of a dig on social media. I don't know if you saw this or not, but I want to pull up the tweet itself, so I'm not just so I'm not paraphrasing. Well, I'm going to paraphrase it because there's an expletive in it, but Sean Spears tweeted, "This quote unquote interim stuff is BS. You're either the champion or you're not." So it sounds like a dig at Thunder Rosa.
Well, it kind of feels like a dig just at Rolling more Tony Khan. Because why not? Why not strip Thunder Rosa the belt? I loved what I saw that and somebody had like shared it and then gave their own thoughts. Just strip Thunder Rosa the title, and when she's ready to come back, she gets a shot. She gets a shot. You've already done that so many times that if you want Thunder to be the champion again, cool. The reality is she probably was going to drop in her next title defense anyways. So, we've already discussed on that. So reality is strip her of the title. She still looks strong. And if you were going to have her keep holding it, when she comes back, put the title back on her. Simple as that.
Next to last match, the Acclaim retain over Swerve and Keith Lee. Just under 20 minutes. We had what looks to be the beginning of the end for the Swerve and Keith Lee tag team. Keith Lee refusing to cheat, etc., etc.
Oh, is this where I'm supposed to be like excited?
You can just say something.
I think we all knew the Acclaimed wasn't losing this match. Again, I'll say it again. They're the most over thing outside of MJF because I do think MJF's more over, but they're the most thing that they have outside of MJF right now. And
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I said they would be a fool, whether it was Swerve and Our Glory or any other tag team right now that they have. You would be a fool to take those belts off of them at this stage in the game.
Yeah, and Thomas, I completely agree. This tag team should have been a thing in the first place, much less champions. And I might be in the minority on that, but these guys are better as singles wrestlers. One thing I wanted to note about the match is that I don't know if it was just crowd fatigue, but a lot of people on social media were saying that the crowd was practically dead during this match, which is odd for being, the Acclaimed and them being over and whatnot. So,
well, we've talked about this before. Number one, you do a 13-card pay-per-view, people are going to get tired. That's why we said it's actually kind of nice that WrestleMania is 2 nights now because you don't get exhausted watching 15 matches. They don't need, let's just be real, they don't need a pre-match or a pre-show matches. They can just do away with those. That cuts you down to 10 right there. And honestly, we probably could have cut this down to about 8 and gave some of these matches more
Yeah.
time, whatever, or just ended the pay-per-view earlier, because that's okay too.
Yeah.
But I agree. I don't think Swerve and Keith Lee should have been a tag team. This is one of those things where I've been saying they didn't have anything to do with them. So what did we do? We just throw them in a faction, tag team, whatever, give them something to do. I'm really hoping with Mia Yim signing to WWE that Keith Lee makes his way back when the time is available to do so. And I also just trying to be, I'm kind of on one tonight, I guess. Not to be rude, but Keith Lee needs to tone up. I mean, I was okay with how he looked in WWE, but since he's left, he looks even worse, and he looks sloppy and slobbish, and I want that crisp Keith Lee that I it was probably my WWE. I mean, I was a huge Keith Lee. Alex can back me up on that. I was a huge Keith Lee supporter. I really thought he was like the guy, to kind of to jump the roster in the next phase with him, Adam Cole,
Yeah.
some of those guys that were coming up. And now I feel like he's nothing more than a Braun Strowman. Like he's just a big guy that you can't really do a whole lot with. And I hate that I feel that way about a guy that I know is capable and better than that.
Yeah, 100%. Last match, not a big shocker. I mean, even with how they executed the finish, MJF defeats Moxley, wins the AEW World Championship. Regal turns on Moxley, slips the brass knuckles to MJF. About 23-minute match. I mean, there's not really a whole lot more to add. I mean, the finish was predictable. I mean, and now AEW's off to the races with MJF as their champion. I said it earlier. I don't think he's losing this belt for a while. I mean, I think it'll be bare minimum well into 2023 before he loses this belt.
So I actually like the call with the Regal stuff. I'm on the outside of this. Maybe it's because of my disinterest in the product so much, but do you feel like the Regal finish was predictable? I actually kind of was. It was one of the very few things of the night that kind of caught me maybe a little bit more surprised. I'm not saying I couldn't see it happening. I was just more of like, I was more sold on the storyline being MJF overcoming the odds and actually proving himself. Like they really got me there. And I really didn't see the William Regal thing coming. So maybe I'm naive for that or whatever, but I'm being completely honest with you guys. I really didn't in the moment. Now that we've kind of see how it plays out, I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I really didn't see it coming. I thought MJF's kind of that character that really is like, I don't need nobody. Like I'm always, going to talk my talk and do my thing. And so, but I like it. I do like it. Great points about, what MJF doesn't need a manager. He's great on the mic. Well, Ric Flair had a manager, like I like it. Like I said, I've not really been a big advocate for the Blackpool Combat Club thing. So I like Regal with MJF. I like the storyline. I like the storytelling. I like how it's all been built up. There's a lot of good that's here, and there's a lot to build off of moving forward. And a lot of different ways you can go with MJF. Agreed with you that he's not losing this title for a good minute. If they were smart, they would make sure that this title run for MJF is everything that he wants it to be and more, so that when the bidding war of 2024 comes around and money's on the line, not only are you going to pay this man, but he feels confident about his career moving forward.
I agree. And AEW's challenge now is to make just about every potential challenger seem like a credible threat, like WWE has been with Roman Reigns. I'm not saying every challenger, like for example, whoever wins this eliminator tournament, think it's pretty obvious they're not going to defeat MJF no matter how much or how well they try to build it, so to speak. Not that they're gonna have a ton of time to build it, because I'm pretty sure the winner gets their shot at Winter is coming. But I mean, I think that match is going to be average at best. That's no disrespect to MJF, Starks, or Ethan Page. It's just none of those scenarios do anything for me. But after that, you need every single potential match / feud seem like it's a credible threat to MJF's title reign. But I would not give any thought to have MJF losing that championship at the very earliest, like late summer of next year. So
I mean, the point is that I think you're trying to make is they cannot do his reign like they did Adam Hangman Page's. You cannot have him win and it feel big and it feel monumental and then it fall on deaf ears after that. So they got a lot of work to do because they've not proven, they don't have a really good proof of a track record for me to be confident.
yeah,
But hopefully this is where things are going to get better. Apologize to anybody who's watching on Twitch. I do have a notification that says that there's a little bit of a struggle there on Twitch's end. So bear with Twitch. And if you're on Twitch and you can hear me, you can hop over to YouTube, Facebook, while Twitch tries to get that figured out. And we'll work on getting it fixed moving forward. So thank you guys.
Interesting. I wonder what happened there.
Never seen that happen, but just letting you guys know that it is a Twitch problem, not an us problem. And we'll get that worked out. So anywho, Alex, we're getting to that point of the show where time is a crunch, but we want to get to our Survivor Series predictions. So I say let's jump right in.
Well, real quick, I gotta give the people what they want.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following:
the Lord Alfred Hayes.
You gotta give him Lord Alfred Hayes. No, just a couple quick things I want to mention. You guys know where to find us on social media. They're scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Just wanted to allude to a few things. I don't have the graphic for it, but we announced our 12 Days of Christmas raffle beginning with signups for our patrons only tomorrow. I'm going to do that through our Patreon page. So patrons get the first dibs for the first few days on our Patreon page only. No, I did not put the graphic on here. I was second guessing. I thought I might have, but I didn't get it in time. But you can check it out on our Facebook page for details. Basically, we're going to run a match every day / afternoon / evening, depending on my schedule or Cole's schedule. And you can sign up for any day and every day that you want, but a maximum of 2 entries per day. It's $5 per entry. And what's going to happen is the winner of each day's match will be entered into a drawing, which will inevitably have 12 spots in it. And the winner of that 12 spot raffle will win a belt from us. So, and it's, same thing as our belt raffles. It's, if you win, you get to pick, any belt of your choosing that is not a WWE belt, single layer. And of course you can pay more for your extras, so to speak. But yeah, I'm going to open that up on our Patreon page tomorrow morning. And patrons get first dibs. If you want to become a patron, you're eligible to sign up ahead of time as well. It is for any tier, so you can sign up for as little as $5 and get advanced entry. I'll have the match listing put up as well, as far as which matches we're doing, which days, so on and so forth.
That's important to know, is each day has a different match. Yes. 11 of the 12 are 5-man matches. The 12th one is a 6-man match. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you lock your spots in, because those spots are going to go quick. Yeah. Especially with Andrew Boehner around. That man will probably get 2 spots in every single day. And I just let you guys know right now, he is a patron. So he does get first dibs. So if this matters to you and it is important to you, wouldn't hurt to go and become a $5 patron and go ahead and lock your spots in as well. So, but it's going to be fun. We enjoy doing them. So I just wanted to chime in there, though, that there are a ton of different stipulated matches and whatnot.
Well, we don't do it for copyright trademark reasons because we don't want to get sued. That's the reason.
That's the best reason.
Couple other things to note. We are in Pro Wrestling Tees, prowrestlingtees.com/GoingBrdwyPodcast. We are running a promotion there as well. For anyone that buys our shirts between whatever date we started it on and December 31st, you get one free, it's not free, I guess, but you get one entry for every shirt that you buy to win a belt from us. Now this belt has already been selected by me. It's already been made. So it'll ship out immediately to the winner, just for clarification on that. But if you buy one shirt, you get one entry. If you buy 10 shirts, you get 10 entries. So it's not limited to just one entry. You can buy however many shirts you want and get however many entries you want. So, lastly, and we'll do our Survivor Series predictions. I do want to announce this. We first announced this last week. We will be having our next guest on January 8th, 2023, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. You guys know her as Alundra Blaze / Medusa in WWE / WWF and WCW. She'll be joining us on Sunday, January 8th, and she'll be promoting her new book. So we're excited to have her on to talk about that, talk about her career, and whatever else might come up in our conversation. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. So as of now, our predictions aren't going to take very long because there's only been 4 matches announced that I'm aware of anyway.
And honestly, the War Game matches are going to go super long. So
yeah, I mean, they'll probably go 45, 50 minutes each. So
if they announce any more matches, it's probably one, maybe I could see maybe one more match being announced.
I was going to say two more matches max. So, yeah, we'll take these one by one, and we'll wrap this up for tonight. SmackDown Women's Championship match: Rousey against Shotzi. Do we really think Ronda's losing this title?
Who cares? No, I'm just kidding. But
no,
really,
I agree with you.
I think the person that Ronda loses to is Shayna Baszler. Until that name is the other name on the side, it's Ronda Rousey for me.
AJ Styles against Finn Balor.
I like it. I really don't know which way it's going to go now with how things have gone. But seeing how Judgment Day has gotten dub after dub after dub for a while, I'm going to go AJ Styles.
Yeah, I'm going AJ as well. Women's War Games match. We'll do this one aspect at a time. We've got Damage Control plus Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley's in this.
Yeah, because of Mia Yim being on the other side.
Oh yeah. Brain lapse. Gosh. Okay. It's been a week. Against Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Mia Yim, and TBD. So, who do we think TBD is going to be?
I honestly I don't know. When I said earlier it'd have to be a big name, that again I'm running through your Charlotte Flair, your Becky Lynch, your Sasha Banks. I think it has to be one of those bigger names, and if it's not, it's kind of a bust for me. Because, and this is the other thing I was looking at. Look at all the names in this match. Just about everybody in this match. You have a lot of women's champions in this match. Nikki Cross has been women's champion. Rhea's been women's champion. Bayley's been women's champion. Io Shirai was champion. Dakota Kai's the only one on that side that hasn't been a singles champion. On the other side, Bianca Blair's been women's champion. Asuka's been women's champion. Alexa Bliss has been women's champion. Mia Yim hasn't, which tells me, okay, you kind of need another big name here. So I think the obvious one's Becky Lynch. And that's what I'm going to go with. But it wouldn't shock me if it's even though she's mostly a heel, wouldn't shock me if it's a Charlotte Flair. Wouldn't shock Sasha Banks makes sense because of the Bayley ties and Bianca Belair ties and all that stuff. but I'm gonna go Becky Lynch. I think that's the most believable.
So just to be different, I'm going to say Charlotte here.
Yeah.
For
I
no other
think any of those three makes sense, at least from a booking standpoint. But I don't know. Becky's the most recent to be in all those feuds. So
yeah. Now, who do you think gets the win here?
I gotta say Damage Control, because you've had Bailey lose to Bianca twice.
Yeah.
And you can't keep having her lose on pay-per-views and people want to watch that. So I'm going to go with Damage Control. Don't know how it happens. Don't really care, but I think it's going to be Damage Control.
I agree with you again. So, so far we both have the same predictions. Men's War Games match, we've got the Bloodline against the Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. Who you got?
This one's, it's hard for me because I could see two totally different outcomes take place here. I think a lot of people would say the Brutes because the title's not on the line and this is a place where Roman can afford to take an L. I'm going to say the Bloodline wins, though. I don't know how. I think there might be teases to the Kevin Owens stuff between him and things like that, but I'm going to say I don't think we see a Sammy split here either. I think it's going to be kind of similar to what they did with him a few months back when Kevin Owens was on the same show and he wouldn't like give them the chair or whatever it was. He kind of froze. I think Sammy's going to freeze, but I think they're still going to come out on top, and that's going to start to be the questioning of loyalties and the split even within the bloodline even more, and kind of setting up those cracks. It's too early for the split.
I don't think the split happens, but I think we see more of the teases, the seeds planted for it to happen. But I don't think we see it happen. But just to be different, I'm going to say the Brutes team gets the win. Just so one of our predictions is different. So
for sure.
But I'm actually really looking forward to this. I'm going to be headed to Cole's house on Saturday, watch it with him. I don't know if you invite anybody else to come or not, but
no one's invited. It's a GBP. It's a GBP host party only.
Oh, well, you heard it, guys. You're not allowed. No. But last time we watched War Games was NXT, and that's been
3 years.
3 years, yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a fun card. And we'll talk about it next week. But I didn't even switch it to Survivor Series predictions. Man, fired for sure. Real quick to tease next week's show. Again, we're going to recap Survivor Series. We will get to our what if segment. I'll make sure that is a priority once we once we get through our Survivor Series recap. But we're going to basically discuss what, some of the biggest what ifs in pro wrestling, cause and effect type situation where, as an example, what if Vince McMahon lost a steroid trial in the 90s, something like that. So we might tackle 2 or 3 of those. I know I've got a couple in mind. Cole might have 1 or 2 in mind. You guys can throw us suggestions as well, because this will be a segment that we'll bring back every now and then. I mean, because there's so many what ifs out there, past and present, actually. So I'm looking forward to doing that segment, and we'll tackle it next week. But unfortunately, it is about that time. Cole, final thoughts.
Y'all, because of the time, I'm not going to run through every little promo. Just make sure that you're following all of our social medias. Again, 12 Days of Christmas starts tomorrow for our patrons. So either become a patron so you can get first dibs on that, or if you're already a patron, make sure that you get signed up. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be a blast. So do that. Pro Wrestling Tees, you know it, and the contests that are going on there. So thank you guys so much for your support. It obviously means the world to us. And enjoy Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. Enjoy AEW this week if that's your cup of tea. Enjoy your indie. Enjoy your indie shows. Enjoy NXT, SmackDown, and enjoy Survivor Series. Have a happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys, because we probably won't get to talk much until then, or until after then. So enjoy your Thanksgiving, eat a lot of turkey, all that good stuff. And I leave you with your favorite thing in the entire world. Oh, oh!
I echo Cole's thoughts as well. You guys have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time off from work. Enjoy the time with your families. Enjoy the food. But most of all, enjoy this. Enjoy Survivor Series as well, and we will see you next Sunday.